Here is a number FIFA announced this week without apology. Projected revenue from this World Cup, $8.9 billion. From the 4-year cycle that surrounds it, $13 billion. Here is a number FIFA did not announce. Canada's parliamentary watchdog has confirmed taxpayers will spend more than $1 billion CADCO hosting a tournament where FIFA keeps the ticket money. In the United States, FEMA alone distributed $625 million in security grants to host cities. Each of the 11 American host cities is absorbing between $100 million and $200 million in local costs: security, transit, stadium modifications, fan zones before a single match is played. Here is the part nobody puts in the same sentence as those two sets of numbers. FIFA is a not-for-profit organization, registered in Switzerland, paying minimal tax, generating a projected $11 billion in profit this cycle, while the cities hosting its product are scrambling to figure out how to pay for the train. This is not a story about soccer. This is a story about one of the most elegant revenue extraction structures in the history of sport. And understanding how it works takes about 12 minutes. Part 1. How FIFA's money machine is built. FIFA's revenue model has 4 pillars. Each one is worth understanding precisely because together they explain why the machine keeps running regardless of what happens in the host cities below it. Broadcasting rights. This is the engine. FIFA sells the right to air World Cup matches to networks across more than 175 territories. For 2026, broadcasting rights are projected to contribute close to $4 billion, a number that represents one of the most concentrated media rights packages in global sports. Every country on Earth that has a television wants this. FIFA sells it to all of them simultaneously, without sharing a meaningful portion of the proceeds with the cities where the matches are actually played. Sponsorship. FIFA restructured its commercial program into tiered partnerships: global partners, tournament sponsors, regional supporters. The Aramco deal brought Saudi oil money to the pitch. Lenovo, Verizon, Coca-Cola, Adidas, Hyundai all writing checks because the World Cup delivers something no other property can replicate at scale: a guaranteed global audience of more than 1 billion people, unified around a single product, for 39 days. Sponsorship is projected to add nearly $1.8 billion to FIFA's top line this cycle. Hospitality, corporate packages, premium seats, access, experiences layered on top of the base ticket. These are sold by FIFA directly and generate significant revenue that never appears in the headline ticket prices most fans see. Combined with standard ticketing, FIFA projects more than $3 billion from this category. Ticketing itself. And this is where 2026 did something different. For the first time in World Cup history, FIFA implemented dynamic pricing, an algorithmic model that adjusts ticket prices in real time based on demand, the same mechanism airlines use. Face value tickets for the final at MetLife Stadium started at over $2,000 and climbed to $32,970 under dynamic pricing by early May. A single seat. On FIFA's official resale marketplace, listings reached $11.5 million. Here is the contrast worth holding. When the United States, Canada, and Mexico submitted their hosting bid in 2017, the agreed maximum price for a final ticket was $1,550. By April 2026, the cheapest standard final ticket had already reached $5,785. No adjustment was required. No explanation was offered. The contract was already signed. Part 2. The resale platform selling the same ticket twice. Here is the structure of the ticket market that very few mainstream outlets have explained clearly. FIFA banned third-party resale. No StubHub. No external platforms for official World Cup tickets. The only authorized secondary market is FIFA's own official resale marketplace, which FIFA built, controls, and profits from. When a ticket is resold on that platform, FIFA charges both the buyer and the seller a 15% fee. That's 30% of the total transaction value collected by the same organization that sold the ticket in the first place, at whatever price it chose to set. FIFA is effectively collecting $30 for every $100 in resale transactions on its own platform, making money on the first sale and collecting again on the second. In Mexico, where ticket resale laws are stricter and the government lobbied for consumer protections, FIFA agreed to limit resale prices to face value. For American fans, no cap, no limit, and a 30% fee on every transaction. In late May 2026, a peculiar thing happened. More than 40,000 tickets abruptly vanished from FIFA's primary sales platform, and a closely matching volume then surfaced on its resale marketplace at lower prices, with a significant number priced at $69. Observers concluded this was a deliberate pricing strategy keeping appearances of scarcity on the primary market, then routing surplus inventory through the secondary channel where FIFA still collects its resale fee. Whether or not that interpretation is correct, the result is the same. FIFA controls both markets simultaneously. The Attorneys General of New York and New Jersey subpoenaed FIFA in late May over ticket pricing and the phased release schedule, which they alleged was designed to artificially inflate prices. FIFA has not meaningfully responded in public. Meanwhile, NJ Transit announced it would charge fans $150 for the round-trip train from Penn Station to MetLife Stadium on match days. The standard fare is $13. The surcharge is meant to cover a $48 million transit bill for 8 matches. 8 matches. $48 million for a single transit agency. Part 3. What host cities actually signed this is the part of the story that a ProPublica investigation into host city contracts described as almost all organizing costs falling on cities, while their ability to collect revenue is severely restricted. Let's be specific about what that means in practice. Host cities pay for security. They pay for transit planning and execution. They pay for stadium modifications to meet FIFA's commercial standards, including what FIFA calls clean site requirements, which dictate that the stadium environment be free of any branding not approved and paid for by FIFA's own sponsors. Cities that have existing naming rights, deals a primary revenue source for most American sports venues, have to either renegotiate or cover the costs of meeting FIFA's standards. Host cities cannot sell their own competing sponsorships in categories FIFA has already sold. The concession revenue inside stadiums goes to FIFA. Parking revenue, in many cases, also flows primarily to FIFA or its designated operators. Everybody signed an agreement that was very, very one-sided, said Alan Rothenberg, who is on the Los Angeles Host Committee and was the president of U.S. Soccer when the country last hosted in 1994. Then, some host cities got a slice of game day revenues, such as a share of food and drink sales at matches. In 2026, that arrangement no longer exists. And there is one more dimension. FIFA demanded sales tax breaks on World Cup tickets as a condition of hosting. That means millions in lost revenue for host cities already shouldering the costs of infrastructure, security, and logistics. Missouri, Georgia, Florida, and other host states are foregoing tens of millions in sales tax that they collect on every other sporting event in their jurisdictions, not by choice, but because it was written into the hosting agreement signed years before the tournament arrived. Missouri alone is leaving roughly $15.7 million on the table in uncollected sales taxes, compared to the $5.9 million originally estimated. Combined across just 3 states, nearly $60 million in public revenue was surrendered. 12 of the last 14 World Cups hosted since 1966 have resulted in financial losses for host countries. The average return on investment for the last 3 World Cups was negative 31%. Part 4. The not-for-profit that makes $11 billion. FIFA is registered as a non-profit association under Swiss law. This structure is not a technicality. It is load-bearing architecture. Because FIFA is a non-profit, it pays minimal tax on its Swiss operations. Because the World Cup revenue flows through that Swiss entity, it is largely shielded from taxation in the countries where it is actually generated. The United States hosts 78 of the 104 matches in 2026. FIFA's revenue from those matches is not taxed in the United States at the rates that would apply to any commercial enterprise generating equivalent income. Critics have frequently argued that FIFA's centralized control over commercial revenues allows substantial profits to be retained by the governing body, while many financial risks are transferred to host nations and local governments. FIFA's defense, offered consistently by President Gianni Infantino, is that the organization reinvests more than 90% of its revenue back into the development of football globally. Member associations receive funding, Development programs are funded. Prize money $871 million this cycle, going to the participating nations, flows back into the game. That 10% is worth sitting with. $1.10 goes to the athletes whose performances generate the product being sold. The other 9 stay inside an organization registered as a not-for-profit that has faced corruption investigations spanning 2 decades, from Sepp Blatter to the FIFA-gate indictments of 2015 to the Qatar and Russia hosting controversies. The governance reforms that followed those scandals have not produced meaningful changes to the fundamental revenue structure. The machine does not change. It scales. Conclusion: the math and the spectacle here is the thing that makes this story genuinely complicated. The World Cup is spectacular. This is not ironic or dismissive, it is accurate. Over 1 billion people will watch. Moments of genuine athletic greatness will happen at a scale no other sporting event can match. The product is real, and it is compelling, and that is precisely why the machine works. The structure that extracts billions from host cities and billions more from fans on resale fees works because the underlying product is worth watching. FIFA did not create a scam. It created a monopoly on something people genuinely want, and then built the most efficient possible structure for converting that want into revenue, while distributing the costs as broadly as possible. Host cities signed the contracts. Nobody forced them. But knowing exactly what was in those contracts and having the leverage to negotiate anything different was never really on offer. Cities that wanted to host had to agree to FIFA's terms years before the tournament arrived, before the dynamic pricing model was announced, before the resale platform was built, before the sales tax exemptions were quantified. And 4 years from now, in a different set of cities, in a different country, the cycle will repeat. New contracts will be signed. New projections will be presented. New promises of economic transformation will be made. The math will be the same. FIFA will project a record commercial cycle. The host cities will absorb the costs. The fans will pay whatever the algorithm sets. And somewhere in Zurich, the world's most profitable nonprofit will file its next financial report. The question worth sitting with tonight is not whether you enjoy watching the World Cup. Most people do. The question is whether you understand, the next time a city's mayor announces a hosting bid, who is actually being served by the agreement they're about to sign. If this changed how you see the economics behind the tournament you're watching this month, that's exactly what this channel is here for. Drop a comment with the number that surprised you most. I read every one. Subscribe if you want more of this, the financial structure underneath the spectacle, explained clearly. See you in the next one.